Welcome to my corner of the internet, episode 4 of Ice Queendom is out, and I just want to jump into the discussion. But before I do that, there's three things that I just wanted to bring up about the episode. One is that I loved that we had a little homage to shadow people here. Again, if you only watch Ice Queendom, you might not know, but back in Volume 1, because of the budget, all the background people were literally just shadows, kind of like how they were in this episode. So I just thought that was cool that we brought that back. Two, and I don't know how I didn't piece this together earlier, but if you're a fan of Persona, like, this entire concept is basically going to raid somebody's castle and fight their shadow version to free them. Like, it seems so obvious now that I put it together, but I just don't know how I didn't think about that. And three is that no matter what version we're in, Willow still keep that thing going on. I mean, oh my god, did you see that shadow? Somebody call Shakira, because them hips don't lie. Got me set over here like, boy thirsty a little bit, you know? A little bit too much. Kind of spit a little bit, but that's fine. That's what happens. Thirst is real. But getting into the actual discussion, we start out by getting an idea of how Shion's semblance actually works, and why only certain people can go in versus just any random person. And that's because there is there's already a version of someone who's close to them in their nightmare that they basically take over once they finally go in. And instead, if it was just some random person, they wouldn't have a version of themselves there, so they would be more flagged as a kind of foreign entity that the Grimm could easily hunt down. And you know, it's kind of interesting too, because it seems like even though they're taking over a version of themselves there, you know, that version of themselves kind of live their own life, because in here we know that Weiss has kind of been sneaking out with this version of RWBY, just like at random times of night she would go out and hang out with her, probably just to escape whatever responsibility she's had, or to escape everything that might, all the burdens that might come with bearing the Schnee name and stuff like that, which is pretty interesting. But we also have, well, through Shion's semblance, there's also these coins that you can get to basically help you out while you're in there, and they can be used for like for decoys to get away if the nightmare catches on to you. It could be used for looking at maps. It could be used to kind of connect specific spots you've been to, like a teleporter, or it can even be just like a direct line for you to contact Shion on the outside. And, you know, RWBY has already used hers up. She started out with 12 of them. I don't know if that number has any significance, but obviously RWBY is not the type of RPG player to save all of her important items until the end, because she just already used them, so. And this would be why Blake and Yang go into the nightmare when they finally come in, so hopefully they won't do the same. So we know that the Nightmare Grimm feeds and breeds on people's insecurities and shortcomings, so it only makes sense that the actual nightmare itself is Weiss's perception of reality. You know, it could be specifically her mentality, and we see a more kind of twisted version of an SDC logo with all these random directions on it. Could show how she constantly strives to be perfect. There was this ideal that everybody's just obsessed with the legacy that Nicholas Schnee left, which goes back to Weiss trying to live up to that Schnee name and what it means to be a Schnee. You know, she's very much into that. You know, or it could just be how she views reality in general. Atlas looks like an impenetrable fortress from the outside. There's this clear gap between the mindless workers of Mantle and the more snobby elitists in Atlas, you know. And I don't remember more of a time where Weiss has particularly looked down on anybody because they were poor. You know, she acts like a rich girl, but I don't know if that, you know, clear wall is just her saying that there is this definite kind of immense separation in her kingdom that she needs to address, or if she actually sees Mantle, you know, below the people of Atlas. So I'm not too sure where she would go with that, especially Volume 1 Weiss. You know. Now, speaking of Weiss's perception of reality, whoo boy, is her racism showing out today. There's not a single fondness in the entire kingdom, and the White Fang are looked at exactly how the Grimm are, which are pretty much the enemy of humanity. Now, giving her the benefit of the doubt, they did start wearing Grimm masks, or at least Adam started that movement, because if humanity saw them as monsters, they wanted to wear the mask of monsters. So this could literally just be playing into that they're wearing the mask of Grimm, so I will look at them as Grimm or equal to Grimm. Or maybe Weiss is just super racist. You know? But this does make things interesting as to why Blake looks the way she does. I remember, looking at her original costume, I know a lot of people were just kind of like, why does she look like that? Kind of weird. But this could explain it a little bit, because near the end of Volume 1, Weiss accepts Blake for who she is as a faunus, right? So she looks normal compared to every other faunus we've seen so far. However, saying that, she still can't get past that she was a member of the White Fang, which is why she still has her more animalistic features. Well, she still has ears, but she has paws and a tail to go along with it, so she still can't get past her being a faunus, as well as being a member of the White Fang, being associated with that organization, the people she hates so much. So maybe that's it? Or maybe Weiss just thinks she looks cute as a cat and wanted to see more of it. Again, racist? Cute cat. Still not fully know yet. We know. On the other hand, most of the members of Team Juniper just end up in a cage. Most likely because Weiss either sees them as a wedge between her and Pure, or just they aren't good enough to hang around Pure and are dragging her down. Probably one of those two. But knowing Weiss, I wouldn't be surprised if Pure just ends up being like some famous god empress or something that she can simp over. Understandably, of course. But funnily enough, if you look in the cage as well, off to the side, you can see Carter in there as well. So I was like, I wonder what he did to Weiss to end up there. Like, or maybe she just has it out for him. Who knows? And lastly, we get a better look at what Weiss actually thinks of her family. Jacques takes on this kind of authoritarian big brother controlling persona that's basically co-opted the family name into following his own goals, into controlling all of Atlas and the family. Willow is nothing more than just a shadow on the wall, getting drunk and having no real influence on her or any of the family's life. She sees Whitley as this small, annoying bat hanging around that she thinks is just there for the benefit of her father, but is actually there to help her, which from the series, we see to be true. Like, he does it in a more smug way, like a little brother does to annoy his family, but he's actually looking out for us, going into that more complicated, shaky relationship they have. Then we have Winter, who shows up as a book, so Weiss thinks she's knowledgeable. When you open that book, there's a mirror on the inside, showing that Weiss wants to be like her. When she asks it questions, it gives back guidance, again, showing that that's what Weiss thinks the role of a big sister should be in her life. And heck, she even has the place for that book on top of the mantle, usually where you would put things that either you would want to show off or things that you very much treasure, and that's the role, that Winter really has for her. So it's just pretty much interesting seeing internally how Weiss views every single member of her family, even though we can probably guess that anyway. But that's pretty much it. Going into episode 5, I'm expecting Blake and Yang to come in, more Grimm shenanigans, maybe a little bit more Weiss angst. I don't know. We'll have to see. But I'll see you in the next video. Peace.